What up, my beautiful people? So, this message is going to be more so geared toward the goddesses on here. So, want to share like a little bit um, about my experience. So, with me, uh oh, with me, I think in my relationship, I felt like it was not always like equal. I believe like I was the one that was pulling a lot of the weight, you know, um, making sure the kids, were good, making sure the house was in order, making sure, like, hey, majority of the time I cooked the food, majority of the time washing the clothes, me going to work, and then, because I, as a professional, just constantly just on the move all the time, and then managing the bills. So I would get the money, from my spouse or whatever. But I was the one that was managing everything, making sure that everything was getting paid, and things like that. So a lot of times I would really beg for help. Like, it was like, hey, I need help, I can't do this. And by this time I'm like, dude, I'm frustrated, because anybody knows that if you're married, not only are you're trying to multitask, you're trying to wear these different hats, but then you have to be there for someone mentally, spiritually, physically, when it comes down to the sexual stuff. So it's like, dude, um I believe over time I just lost myself. Like, I had become so accustomed to doing all of these things that I no longer thought about myself. I didn't pour into myself. It was what I could do for everybody else. And sometimes when you're like that, when you're in that type of situation where someone's expectations of you are required so much to a degree where it seems like when you decide that you want to choose yourself and look out for yourself, that you're being selfish, that you're only thinking about yourself. And it is an unhealthy relationship, because anybody knows that when one person is pulling the weight, I mean, just pulling it, eventually that person is going to break down. Eventually that person is going to be tired. Eventually that person is going to get fed up to the point where they're like, you know what, I'm done. Now, for a long time, because I used to mention, that I wanted to leave, just because I saw that things were not progressing, or that we, no matter what we did, from going to therapy, from, professionals, like, you name it, we've done it. And to get to a point where it's like, dude, you're walking around the house, you're, 1 week we're talking, next week we're not talking, we go 2 weeks talking to each other, the next 2 weeks we're not talking to each other, so when you're playing those type of games, and then you have children that's present, and that they're watching it and witnessing this type of behavior, and so it's like, now the question becomes, what are we teaching them when they get in relationships? What do they supposed to do in their relationships? Because based off of what they have seen and experienced, this is what they have had put in their mind, that this is how I'm supposed to be. The toxicity, unhealthy relationships. And so for me, I had to actually take the time to stop. And I noticed that, every time I would try to work on myself, every time I would try to pull away from the situation, I would be reeled back in. you know um you know I want to say love bombed. And so that it became this vicious cycle. And you look up and it's like, damn, it's been almost 23 years. And so for me, I got to a point where I'm just like, you know what, I have to learn who I am. I have to pour into myself. I have to show love to myself. I have to find out who I am. And so I set out on this journey. And I'm not saying that I just instantly just woke up and was like, oh, but I have been working on myself for at least, I say about a good 3 to almost 4 years. You know, whether it's journaling, meditating, doing affirmations. There was times when I was going to the gym. If I couldn't get to the gym, I would be doing it at home. Going out in nature, getting by the water, you know, which was always so calming for me. But it allowed me to connect with myself. Doing affirmations. Spending time with myself is how I began to learn myself and learn what I wanted versus what I didn't want. What was good for me versus what wasn't good for me. What was causing me to be held back versus what's going to allow me to push forward. And so I had to make that tough decision. And, you know, again, I would never come on here and say that I was not, I was doing everything right. But I know I was doing the best I could. But when someone makes it seem like you're the problem, I mean, telling the world that you're the problem, that you're the reason why the relationship didn't work. And when someone chooses not to want to take accountability for their actions, when they don't want to take the time to look at themselves and say, hey, you know what? I was wrong for that. I fucked up on that. Even down to the point where I'm like, dude, I don't want nothing. And I said, I don't want nothing. I'm willing to walk away without nothing. I just wanted my peace of mind. And when I couldn't even get that, you start disturbing my peace. And then you want to sit up here and put me out here like I'm just this fucked up person. And so my thing is this: everything that happens in the dark come to light. So while you snip there breadcrumbing me, right? While you snip here trying to make it seem like as if I'm the problem, I'm going out here doing stuff behind your back. Meanwhile, you know what I'm saying? You are here, hey, you doing your own thing. And so my thing is this: everybody have a right to do what they want to do. Everybody have a right to choose to live how they want to live. And for me, I chose myself. And I believe it was the best decision that I ever made. I don't regret it. I'm not going back on it. You know what I'm saying? It's like, no way, because I know who I am and I know what I did and I know how I contributed. I know how I gave my all. So if it was also at the end of the day, at the end of the day, no matter what, I did the best that I could do. And if what I did was not good enough, then that means, hey, I'm not the person for you. And clearly, you know what I'm saying, you get out there, you move on and see that, hey, anybody know that when you got something that's worth holding on to, you're going to fight, you're going to do whatever it takes. Whatever it takes. But when you're not willing to do that because you feel like, oh, I got options. Well, let me tell you about them options. Them options is going to be very karmic. Those options is going to be crumbs. Those options is never going to compare to me and what I meant to you. Because what I had to determine and what I learned about myself is that I am the gift. You know what I'm saying? I was the one that was holding it down. I was the one that was keeping everything. I'm keeping it a buck. So when I made the decision I made, it was with the confidence of, you know, wow, like, you know, my kids, that's my concern. But I knew at the end of the day, I had to do what was best for me, because for too long, I made it about somebody else. And at the end of the day, no matter what I did, that shit didn't mean nothing. It didn't mean nothing. At the end of the day, if you cannot respect somebody's decision and say, hey, look, I want to work on me to better myself, instead of being understanding and saying, you know what, I got you, I understand. Let's get through this. And let's be it for the sake of our kids, because that's what the conversation was. But oh baby, did the tables turn? And boy, did they turn quick. And it wasn't on me. You know what I'm saying? So when you did everything that you could possibly do to try to make some stuff work and it still ain't working, that's when you know, hey, time is up. So, you know, to all my ladies that's out here that's going through something similar or worse, we have to learn to love ourselves. We have to learn to put ourselves first. We have to learn to trust that when your intuition is telling you and guiding you, that you have to follow that. And trust that no matter what it looks like, no matter what it feels like, y'all. Peace.